Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, can I go over a story titled, Am I the a-hole for basically going no contact with my daughter after she betrayed me? And a big shout out to Joseph for sending me this story. And guys, this story is all about a guy, he's a father, who so tragically found out a never-ending series of horrible events. One being, the main theme of the story, is that his wife was having an affair, and the daughter knew about it and assisted the wife in the whole thing for like 6 years. You're going to see that he finds out that his wife was not only hooking up with one dude, but supposedly 6 dudes, which probably means actually 18 dudes. And, to add sugar on top, that both his kids are not his. And they were the result of his brother cheating with the wife. After no surprise, finding out that the girl aided in this, went no contact with her. He's done with her. All that. And you're going to see eventually in this story how things actually go with the daughter and everything, and it's not as bad as you may think. She tries to actually help him. But I'm going to go over here, a sad one, to see this type of dark shit happens. How you have to pay attention to the red flags, pay attention to your family. It's never, you can't, all that. And once a cheater is a cheater, because it seems like his wife did this before, and he gave her a second chance, that type of thing. But don't worry, justice is served, as you're going to see with the wife and his brother and all that. And this guy does his best that he can to move on. And this guy's no saint. He's done some things that aren't perfect, but he's trying to get through this whole hellish mess that I wouldn't wish upon anyone. So it starts off, says here, as an edit, I just want to clarify a few things. What I'm reading, guys, is what he posted after he did his article. I apologize for saying that she masterminded the affair along with my wife, but I forgot to mention this. It was my daughter's idea for her mother to hide her affair on her old phone, and secondly, some people in the comments claimed that I was verbally abusive towards my daughter, but that isn't true. I was hurling insults towards my wife for lying to me, her parents, my parents, and her friends that she cut contact with, her coworker, but she hasn't. She still spoke to him, and I was feeling guilty for cheating on her as a type of get back, as I was advised to stop, so I feel no regret now. This dude, when he found out she was cheating, he started hooking up with other women too. Also, I need to clarify that my daughter is 18 years old, not other random ages. I've also spoken to her, and I told her I was wrong for saying that I will kick her out, and saying she meant nothing to me. But I'll need time to heal, but also she's not at fault, but her mother is. So it's going to seem to be that the mother manipulated the daughter and all that, but then again, the daughter, I knew darn well what she was doing. It's a mess with the daughter. It says here, the main post. For some background, I upload a more in-depth post on my page about what occurred, but basically my wife cheated on me with a coworker, and she begged me for my forgiveness, so I accepted, but I've been secretly cheating on her as a type of revenge that ended up becoming an addiction. I know I'm an idiot, but on to the title. So, at that moment, the dude should have ended it with her, but you're going to see he didn't because he knew he hammered with alimony and all that type of thing, and child support. But 2 wrongs don't make a right. But then again, it should have been over and he should have moved on. I will keep it short as possible. Basically, a couple days ago, my daughter just came out of the blue and confessed about her mother cheating on me as she couldn't handle the guilt. She told me for the past 5 years she's been aiding her mother in cheating on me in exchange for gifts. She also confessed that she knew that my wife had been in affairs with 6 guys and was currently in contact with her coworker, and that her old phone that her mother bought her was the device my mom used to cheat on me, and she was the one that was supposed to hide it away from me and delete the conversations. Well, that's a lot in one paragraph. The mother got the girl when she was 12 years old, started hiding the affair and putting it on her phone and aiding and abetting the mom, supposedly for gifts. Now the question is, why did she tell him now? Maybe because she just turned 18, because she's a legal adult. I don't know. But he found out because the daughter told him. So at least she told him, but still. You can imagine this guy's, he found this out too, you'd be losing your mind too. Says here, at this moment, I snapped. I realized it was her all along who put the phone under my pillow and unlocked the passcode. So she was the one who helped me hide the infidelity, and I was destroyed. I worsened this hole by repeating my wife's actions, and now I realize that my daughter betrayed and masterminded the affair along with my wife. I may have snapped at my daughter, but I told her I knew about the affair this whole time and thought her mother changed after she begged and told me she cut contact with her coworker. But that was a lie as well, and I told her, "You mean nothing to me," and a bunch of other stuff about her mother which I may regret. Look, any guy that found out that his wife's been cheating for 6 years and with supposedly six different dudes, and his daughter was helping her and knew about it and all that, any guy would freak the hell out and have words with his now legal adult 18-year-old daughter. You can't blame him there. And whatever the reasons behind it, and the girl did tell him, still, it's really screwed up. And you can't blame this guy at all. It says here, but it was the best. It was the best of the moment that I went to my car and had a long drive. My son called me and asked me what happened, and I explained what his mother and sister did for me for 5 years. He broke down. I told him I'll look for an apartment for my wife and his sister, as there is no way in hell I will give up my house. My wife and daughter have blown up my phone, begging for a second chance. But screw that anyway. Would I be the a-hole for basically going no contact with my daughter for the rest of my life or not? Well, you're not the a-hole for going no contact with her right now when you're trying to get the bottom of everything. You don't need to be around them right now. And of course, the wife, after hooking up with 6 dudes and other things you're about to find out, is begging for a second chance. I know that she was being manipulated by her mother, but as she got older, she could have realized what her mother was doing was wrong, and I know she hid the phone under my pillow, but I was an idiot and I should have divorced her, but I was too reluctant on paying child support as they're a couple years away from turning 18. But I won't commit the same mistake. I will divorce her anyways, and I apologize for my rant. Wow, that's a lot. The dude doesn't apologize for anything after finding all that out. Believe me, if the situation was reversed and the wife, and he did that to her, believe me, she'd be saying a lot, everybody be on her side. And by the way, this whole comment section to all his updates are full of people tearing him new ones and saying awful things like he should off himself and how dare you say that to your daughter and blah, 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 blah. Next update, he says, after my daughter informed me of my wife's affair and stormed out of the house along with my son, my wife just brutally overdosed herself on some things, and she left a letter on the table confirming that she slept with my brother in my bed. Add the brother too. I called him and threatened to tell everyone the truth, and he admitted that my daughter isn't mine and that he isn't sure about my son. What did this guy do in his past life to deserve all this shit? I have a sharp object in my car, speaking in code here, and I've tried to have the courage to use it. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I've wasted 20 years of my life in this stupid marriage and spent years raising children who aren't mine. I can't take it. So we're going to get into the ugly area of, well, they're actually not his kids. Should he stick around and anything to do with them? On the other hand, at least his son wasn't hiding anything. And, you know, that's always a tough call for anybody what they're going through. But not one you make a permanent decision in the moment. But as we were saying about the daughter here, she aided and abetted the mother, but also it was the daughter who finally ratted out the mother here. It's a screwed up situation. Update number 2. He says here, I will keep this short as possible, but I'm leaving my son and daughter as I discovered my wife had an affair with my brother, and both my kids aren't mine. I was thinking of offing myself after finding out the truth, and I was close to, but too scared at the same time, and I don't want my wife to win. My son and daughter deserve a good life, so I put the house ownership into my daughter's name, so she owns it. He says, I only own the house and not my wife, and I give my car to my son, so when he passes his license, he can drive it, and a portfolio for him to access when he's 21. And I'm going back to my home country to live near my family and start all over. I don't blame this guy for getting out of Dodge. At this point, he's calmed down. He's talking to his kids, or, well, the kids he thought were his kids. And he obviously he's realizing his daughter, that the wife had a lot to do with this. Even though I still think that she was... I wouldn't be so easy on the daughter as this guy is ending this. I admit I may be an a-hole for this, but no therapy can help save me, and that they are not mine. But I hope they understand my point of view, and hopefully they had their future secure. I wrote letters to both of them, and I'm too much of a coward to face them, stating that I'm leaving for my own country, but I will visit from time to time, and I hope they understand that their future is secure, and will always cherish the memories I have with them. Well, he's going above and beyond for them, because believe me, he wouldn't have to. Well, that depends on what judge or what court he's talking to, but leaving her the house, leaving the kid a giant portfolio and the car and all that. Next one. He says, I just want to clarify some things. I don't know the condition of my wife. She OD'd on something, and her lungs are already messed up from her drinking problems. When I saw her in my house, she looked lifeless. Oh, boo freaking who. This wonderful wife took a whole bunch of substances to get attention. Poor her. And look what happened to her. There's a waste of life. Secondly, people ask me what happened to my brother. I simply told my entire family that he was a cheater and my whole family abandoned him. I also told my wife's parents, who she confessed a previous affair to, and they practically disowned her too. Her sister and her husband have been very supportive, and I will admit I will miss them too and their baby, but I must move on. Yeah, well, his brother and his soon-to-be ex-wife getting exactly what they deserve. Finally, my kids won't be alone. I get my master bedroom to my children's aunt and uncle, no, not my brother, and baby's cousin, and the kids will always have a good relationship with, and they deserve a good life, not worrying about the bills, etc. So the house he left the daughter, his other family who has a good relationship with, are moving in. I left them a good check since they were very supportive throughout all this, and their baby also deserves a good life, who I will definitely miss. And last update here in this wacko story, he says, for anybody who cares, I'll try to keep this short as possible, but first I want to clarify a few things. First, I'm not an entirely good person. I'm a good, kind father to my children, in their eyes, but I'm not. I confessed in a post that when I originally found out my soon-to-be ex had an affair, I was an idiot, and instead of divorcing her, I repeated her actions and cheated on her multiple times without her knowing. My excuse was because I didn't want to pay child support, but it was just a stupid excuse. Two wrongs don't make a right, and his best option would have been to get out of there, but nobody can blame him for wanting some payback and all that, but it just leads to more of a fucking mess. However, I never stooped to the level of my wife to manipulate my daughter into assisting her affairs. I confessed to my children that I was no saint comparing to my wife, and I did repeat her mistakes. Yeah, well, you did it as a response and reaction to what she did. She just did it because she enjoyed it. Secondly, in a previous post, I did mention that my daughter betrayed me by assisting her. I admit I over-exaggerated what I said, and I apologize to my daughter for being angry towards her as she was trying to come clean to me for help, but I just didn't help because she told me her revelations about my wife. I just felt so dumbfounded, and I didn't think straight. Dude, your daughter effed up big time for years, and yeah, you can understand 12 years old, the wife manipulating her, but at 18, but maybe that's why she came clean at 18, I don't know, but your daughter isn't perfect, and you're allowed to get upset, and you're allowed to react. But you try to make things right, at least in your eyes. Thirdly, one user mentioned that my son living with relatives, but that is not true. He's back to living in the former house. The same user also said I'm acting like my children and don't exist when that isn't true. If I didn't act that way, they didn't exist. I wouldn't have given them anything, and I still talk to them every day, at least for now. Yeah, people are getting all this shit in the comments section. You should be a man and be strong and stay in it for the kids and blah, blah, blah. Fourthly, I don't know the condition of my soon-to-be ex-wife, and I don't care about her condition. She can rot in hell for all I care. Hey, I don't blame you. Finally, to the few people who are sending support, I thank you very much. Now for the update. It says, I was believing I was planning on ending myself, and they were right. I mentioned in an earlier post that I was thinking about offing myself, and I still am, and I admit I regret posting on Reddit, as many people messaged me saying that I need to man up and be there for my kids, and told me to off myself. He shows a picture, a screenshot of somebody telling him to off himself. There's some really effed up people on Reddit. I don't know if this subreddit allows pictures, but I showed an example, and there are many, many more of these. These people don't consider male mental health and male offing themselves rates, just expect me to suck it up and be there for my kids. But I can tell you for a fact it's not that easy. Don't get me wrong, men should be strong. Do everything they can to be strong and a rock for their family and a rock in general. But guess what? We're also human beings, and we're allowed to have moments where we can break down. We try to build ourselves up. And for this guy to supposedly be strong and stand up for the kids after all this, after what, stay with them, and even though they're not his kids technically, and stand and suck it up, because of what she did, the wife? No. The only reason I'm going back to my home country is to try and feel good and start fresh with all this toxicity, but it's scary. I have all these bad thoughts, and I keep thinking about how my whole life has been a lie. I've spoken to my children, and I have admitted my mental health isn't very good, but I love them, and even if they aren't mine, I apologize for this rant. To all the men, even if you have a tiny gut that your kids aren't yours, get a paternity test. It could have saved my life 18 years ago. So that was the end of that crazy story here. It's a combination of a bunch of things, but I figured I would do it. And so let's review. Wife's been cheating for years, 6 different dudes, his own brother. She manipulated the daughter into helping her cover it up. Then she was hooking up with his brother, and both the kids aren't his. So you can see this guy is a little upset and said a lot of things initially and is getting the hell out of Dodge and starting over. And you can't blame him for thinking about offing himself, thinking his whole life is a lie, because yeah, it was. And as for the ex-ODing, I think it's hilarious. Screw her. She's a piece of garbage for multiple fronts and what she did to those kids. But I hope this guy, after he calms down, finds some peace, make things a little better with those kids. You know, that daughter still, she needs to get herself out of the doghouse. She did reveal what happened. One could question her motives, but still, his son is truly the innocent party in all this, and I hope he has a good relationship with his son. Anyhow, guys, this is why I call this channel They Did What. Because if you think your lives are screwed up, let me tell you, it doesn't come close to these stories that I cover on a daily basis here. Anyway, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you find some good stories, send them my way. StrongSuccessfulMale@gmail.com. Whether they're, a short story, page long, a few paragraphs, or something really long, I can make use of it. Either the long ones for this channel, They Did What, or the shorter ones for the SSM Clips, which, incidentally, if you haven't signed up to that, definitely do. The channel is really starting to take off now, and I appreciate all you guys joining up. Remember, as you subscribe to my channels, it pisses off more feminists. So if you want to do that, subscribe to all my channels. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.